welcome to the Zelda Informer podcast. This is episode 2, but that doesn't matter. Hey guys, did you hear? Less than a week from now, E3. It's here.
What's E3?
What is an E3?
I have no idea.
What are the three
idea.
E's?
Everything, everyone, and anything with an E.
It's the Electronic
Anything with
Entertainment
an E.
Expo.
If you're spelling
the Electronic
anything with
Entertainment,
an E, your life has gone so
there's
south.
Darrin being... Yeah. Oh, this is getting bad already. Oh, no, this is the E3 Hypecast.
Hype.
We have a lot of stuff to talk about. This podcast is going to be extra long. Normally our podcast lasts right around an hour. A little more because of intros and outros. But this time around, it's only going to go 90 minutes. Yay.
Only.
But the first hour is what most of you guys might care about. Our last 30 is actually a bonus part to it. You don't have to listen if you don't want to. We hope you do.
Don't tell them that.
We're recording it, so...
You have to listen to it.
You are required to listen. So we're going to have lots of Zelda U talk today, or Zelda NX, however you wish to call it. The Legend of Zelda ? We're going to talk about some of the other conferences. That's the kind of at the bonus bit towards the end. And we have an all-out E3 betting special.
Yeah.
One-on-one, mano-y-mano, between me and my co-host, Alfred.
Yeah.
Speaking of my co-host, Alfred Taubox is here.
Yes.
As hopefully he will be forever and ever and ever. And I'm joined by Darrin, who's our managing editor. Yep. And we have a special guest this week. Rabidluigi has joined us, all the way from the YouTube verse.
The YouTube verse is my favorite verse. It's very late here, but I shall try and keep my eyes open.
Yes.
As long as you keep your mouth open, that's all we care about.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Just a reminder on the format, since this is our second episode ever, the first half hour is spent talking about the latest news and or selected topics if it happens to be a slow news week. And then the next 15 after that's usually our fan topic section, and then we end with another 15-minute segment talking about our favorite thing from the past week. However, this week around it's going to change because we have the E3 Bet special, and it's E3. This is all about E3. This entire podcast is the E3 Hypecast. So, deal with it. That's what we're talking about. So,
if you don't like E3,
let's just get right into it. So the first topic we have here... What?
If you don't like E3, then leave. Like, that's basically...
if you don't like E3, I don't know why you're listening.
You make it sound like a bad thing.
Hypecast.
When is E3 a bad thing?
All right. Got the timer going here. So our first topic for our news section and our selected topic section, we do have one bit of news for this week. I'm going to save it for the end. So we're going to go straight to an E3 topic, especially because we are Zelda Informer. And so, yeah, we should talk about Zelda. So in 1 week, I am going to be playing Zelda U, like literally right now, hopefully for my third or fourth time, since this will be released on the second day of E3. And I want to know, how hyped are you for this massive Zelda blowout that promises to be like no other blowout for any Zelda game in the history of the series? Heck, maybe in the history of video games. How hyped are you? What's going on, guys?
Well,
just silence. That lets you know how excited our team is for E3 this year.
Well, okay. See, it's kind of a double-edged sword because it's like, yeah, Zelda, but it's like, yeah, Zelda? Like, again, like I said last time, it's like that's all we're getting, and so it's like, I'm so excited to see footage from an hour and a half or 90 minutes, whatever, of Zelda U, and then that's it. That's all we get from Nintendo for E3. But I do have some...
But this topic is literally just about Zelda. No, the rest of E3 is irrelevent.
I know,
this is
but...
how hyped are you for Zelda?
I'm
like,
hyped.
I'm not really hyped because Nintendo's not doing anything else. Like,
well, I'm
Zelda.
hyped for Zelda, but like I said last time, we're going to see the Wii U version of it, and I really want to see the NX version of it. So I'd be way more hyped if we were getting Zelda NX, like a demo of that. And I mean, I'm really hyped for the Wii U version, but my plan is to buy the NX. And so I plan on buying the NX version, so I'm kind of like, yeah, we get to see Zelda U, but I really want to see how it's going to change when the NX comes around. So I'm excited for it, but I could be way more excited if they were showing off the NX version.
Rabidluigi, got anything to add to that?
I would say there's a tendency, maybe a worry, that we get a demo, we get a playable demo, and it could just be the 20 minutes or something that they showed off back in 2015, maybe? I forget when they showed it off, but the only bit of gameplay we've actually seen from the game. I'm worried it's going to be something along the lines of that, so you kind of get to play that, but there is a chance, and it's more than likely, that you'll get wander around this massive overworld. Maybe that in itself is going to be not so bad, since because the game world is supposed to be so huge and so much exploring that you can do, they don't have to worry too much about spoilers. They're not exactly going to throw you into a dungeon. They might throw you into a dungeon, but they're unlikely to throw you into a dungeon. They want to show off the exploratory aspect of this new Zelda game, and that's fine. As for hype, I mean, I was very hyped, like 2014. It's been a little while since then, and it's kind of, I'm a huge Zelda fan, have been most of my life. It's not that I have to manufacture the hype, I just have to keep reminding myself that this is now happening. Next week we're going to show Zelda Wii U, not for the NX, which is interesting, but not entirely surprising. And I've not so much reminding myself that I've got to be hyped, but I've got to convince myself that, it's actually happening now. They're actually going to show more of the game. I've been built up and knocked down too many times in the last 2 years with regards to Zelda Wii U, and I'm hoping this won't be one of them.
Yeah, after two
come on,
delays...
boy. Someone needs to bring the hype.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. After 2 delays, the hype train has slowed down for me a bit, but I'm definitely still hyped, and I'll probably be more hyped come E3. Like, after I take everything in, I will probably be off the wall. Like, right now, I'm like, they're showing off Zelda next
Absolutely.
week. That's gonna be pretty cool, but I'm sure after they show everything, I will be off the wall until I can actually play this game, and then I will be even more excited because I'm actually playing it, and then I'll just talk about it for years afterwards, and then I'll come back down to the ground.
And then people are gonna hate on it, and
it turns into a Skyward Sword where I'm the only one that likes it, kind of like Nate is the only one that likes Skyward Sword. Sorry, Nate. But yeah, I'm definitely hyped. Not as much as I was 2 years ago before the delays, but I'm still very hyped and will be after we get a wave of news. That's basically where I'm at.
Man. So disappointed right now.
I'm
so
sorry.
Disappointed.
Hey, you asked
All right.
our honest opinions,
All
and we
right.
gave them to you.
Let me tell you how hyped I am.
Oh boy.
Maybe it's because I know I get to play the game. So maybe I just have a different level of hype.
Yeah, if I knew I was gonna be able to play the game, I'd be more hyped.
But I kept thinking, even if I'm at home right now, I've been waiting my entire life for a blowout like this. We're talking about a show floor that is built around the world of Zelda. We're talking about it being the only playable game, which you could talk about all the negatives. For me as a Zelda fan, like, holy crud, this must be a massive demo. Like, I am stoked. A whole streaming day outside of when they do the initial Pokemon stuff dedicated to Zelda for most of it, like, that's huge.
Yeah, like
this
that,
is unprecedented.
I'm pretty excited for that.
No game has ever had this treatment, I don't think anywhere. Like, in the world, ever. And I could be wrong. Someone's going to come up with some game, maybe it was for PC or some indie game, or someone did a huge blowout like this, but this is the first I can recall, and definitely the first Nintendo's done like this, and I am stoked. Like, we're probably going to find a title, we're going to see actual gameplay, not necessarily pre-scripted stuff, especially since they said the Nintendo Trio stuff is unscripted, so it's definitely not going to be pre-scripted gameplay. We're probably going to finally get a trailer. We're going to probably have a more solid release window. They might actually say the words coming in March 2017 instead of just saying 2017 and having us presume
That's
it's coming
actually
when the NX comes
specifically
out.
something I'm hyped for is an actual trailer and not a teaser
Yeah.
like we got in 2014. I did a daily debate about that, about what kind of a trailer should Zelda U have, because the first trailer, it's kind of a new first impression. I mean, we've seen this game in 2014, but I want to see more details. What's changed? What am I excited for about this? That's something I am very excited about, is the possibility of a trailer. Not to say that I'm not excited about the gameplay or the demos being there, but I really want to see a trailer. I'm a sucker for trailers.
Trailers are awesome.
Yeah.
They really are. I mean, trailers can lie, obviously. Zelda trailers, in particular, can be very chock full of a bunch of stuff that never makes it into the game.
Yeah,
How many
but it
times
gets me
have you
hyped.
seen a giant, massive forest with Link walking around in, and then it just never appears in the game?
Well, that happened in Majora's Mask.
Or it happened with Twilight Princess. Also, like, in Twilight Princess, I remember that initial reveal trailer that got so much hype for it. It was something like 75% of the stuff in that trailer never made it into the final game. It was crazy. So much of that hype was built on ideas that never made it to... I mean, maybe they weren't lying at the time because they actually thought they were going to have like that big battle scene that looked like there was a big war scene. So like, maybe they actually thought they were going to have that, and then as the development went on, they're like, yeah, well, we can't do that. But trailers are the bomb. Even if you end up getting some false information, it ends up getting sorted out before the game comes out. So by the time the game comes, you're not misinformed.
Yeah, and it gets you hyped. It gets you really hyped. You know.
Yeah, it gets you hyped. The thing is, I'm just so hyped. They have really. It's so weird because I've been critical of Nintendo this whole time and how they've dealt with Zelda U. I even wrote a fairly infamous editorial last year about how Triforce Heroes reveal made Zelda U's reveal look embarrassing. So many people got mad at me about that. And the premise was that when they revealed Triforce Heroes, they were ready to reveal Triforce Heroes. And that was my point. It wasn't that I wasn't excited by the Zelda U reveal. At the time that Zelda U was revealed, I also wrote an article saying that Zelda U is perfect so far. And that was I wrote that the day it was unveiled. But then that was it. That was before I knew there weren't going to be any more interviews. And all that stuff. And when Triforce Heroes came out, it's like, yeah, not only do we have a trailer, hey, we got some gameplay. Hey, you can play this on the show floor. Hey, we have a release date for it. We have a name. We have all this information about it because this game is ready to be shown off. And that's what I meant when I said Triforce Heroes made the Zelda U reveal look bad. I know I'm replying to people a year later.
No, I'm definitely
not even a year. I guess it's like 8 months. But the thing is, I've been very critical of how they've handled the Zelda U. The delay without even a trailer. They couldn't give us a trailer when they delayed the game the first time. Out of the way to make an announcement video and stuff on Miiverse about the delay, but they couldn't give us any footage. That would why go out of your way? You might as well just release a press release and say it's delayed instead of going out of the way to make a video and then show us.
At least they did the little video clip after Twilight Princess in the Nintendo Direct for the second delay.
Yeah,
it was something.
It still was like that would have been fine if we had actually seen Zelda back at E3 last year. Like, if we had already had some progress updates and some information on Zelda, having that little tease would have been cool. That would have been fine. But, that was the only time we saw the game in almost a year.
Yeah,
and they gave us a 10-second clip that involved 3 seconds of gameplay.
It's been a barren period.
Really weird.
It's been a long time coming.
So I totally understand why a lot of people are kind of tepid right now. They know they're probably going to be excited when we get all this information, but they're not necessarily excited now because they lost some trust in Nintendo to actually deliver.
And I talked about that in my editorial too, is that Nintendo's kind of they have to earn back a lot of trust with Zelda U, and not in the sense of oh man, people don't trust them to deliver games anymore. It's okay, well, why should we get excited this time? And we know, I know that I'm going to be, just like Darren, I'm going to get super excited after it's released, after we see, the trailers for it, the footage for it. If they release, a cinematic trailer for it, I'm sold. I'll buy it for Wii U and NX. But I think that they're going to have to, or that we're the fans, we're going to have to, we're all kind of going into it with a bit of a, okay, are we sure that they're, going to give it to us this time? Or is it going to be as good as they've promised? Because it was kind of like the...
Not me.
Well, okay, everybody in the entire world except for Nate is thinking, is this game really going to be as good as they've promised us with all these delays? Is the delay going to be worth it?
Well, here's the thing. They never promised us how good this game is going to be at all. That's, I think, what frustrated people. We don't know what this game is. We know the art direction. And we know that it has a big world. That's it. Everything else is subject to change.
In 2 years, that's what
Apparently,
we worked out.
It revolves. But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I said Nintendo's unveiling of this game was not good. It didn't give us any information. It gave us an art direction and a big world, and that's all we've gotten since. Like, that's fine. Like, if your initial reveal is just showing a big world and an art direction, okay. But then, like, usually you follow that up with more, and they never did. Even the gameplay at the Game Awards was just, here's a big world.
Yeah, but
Okay.
Anuma
got
had
moving
the
grass
big
this
Look at the
Anuma
big
had, like, a
world.
big speech at the beginning. Like, we're redefining the mechanics of Zelda and stuff like that. And to me, that just screams, we're building this to be a really good game. Like, to me, that was setting the bar.
Here's the thing.
Like,
I don't view. Yeah, he talked about redefining that. They talked about the idea of a game being single player. A whole bunch of stuff they talked about at the time. That was around the the Wind Waker HD reveal. Remember, they were talking about a bunch of ideas they had going towards the new unannounced Zelda game. Who knows? The multiplayer stuff might have just inferred Triforce Heroes for all we know. But it's really weird when I think about it. We don't really know anything. The promise for this game is people's hopes for this game. What they want this game to be. What they want it to be a game where, yeah, it might take almost 6 years to develop, but it's clearly going to show it was worth the 6 years to make it. And I know I hate bringing him up by username, but K2L of our comments is infamous for reminding me and everybody else that he feels that no game is ever worth 6 years of development time.
yeah, I kind of have to
That
agree
no
with
game
them.
can ever live up to
That's a long time
the
to wait.
expectations. And
But the Last Guardian, though,
I
guys.
thought for a while five. Well, it's not even 6 years. If it releases in March, it's 5.5 or something. But it's one of those things that I think about that, and I'm like, well, was Ocarina of Time worth the wait? That was 6 years. And every time I drop that little nugget, they're like, well, that was back in the 90s. Yes, and that was the last defining game in the Zelda series. So was that worth the wait? Is Ocarina of Time not considered one of the greatest games to ever exist?
Yeah, but you have to remember, they were transitioning from a 2D perspective to a 3D space on the N64. For many franchises,
Yeah,
it was
and
a,
now
it
they're
was a jumping off
transitioning
point.
from total failure into.
But they needed the extra
we
development
don't know what
time.
they're transitioning into.
They needed the extra development time because programming 3D games was fairly new at the time for Nintendo. They've been programming 3D games for a long time now, so I don't think they need that extra development time. I don't think 6 years is, I don't think 6 years is worth it, I guess is what I'm saying. I agree with the guy.
Maybe.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. I'm just on the other side of the fence. Because, to me, there's a lot of factors that I consider and I give Nintendo credit for that probably I shouldn't as a consumer. Because I'm not just your average, everyday consumer. I know things that other people don't.
I'm a smart consumer.
Like, as an example. I know the Zelda team isn't very big. So, when you talk about making an open-world 3D Zelda game, I know that Zelda team is not pulling it off in the same amount of time that
Put
they
more
can pull off
staff
any of their
on.
other 3D games. But they don't.
Which they should.
That's the thing. Nintendo doesn't do that.
Probably
They don't
should.
just go and hire a bunch of staff. But that's the thing. Nintendo doesn't do that because these staff also aren't let go when the project is done. Nintendo is very smart, I want to say, with their money when how they spend it on development. And unfortunately, it does lead to Zelda's not alone. There's several other franchises they have where they've supposedly rumored to have been working on a new 3D Mario the entire time the Wii U's been out here. And so that's reaching the point where it's almost been in development as long as this game has been. And it's probably been moved to NX, and who knows if we're even going to see it this year. It might not even be a 2017 title. I have no insider information on that. But it's one of those that I recognize that Nintendo has a lot of little groups making a whole bunch of different games. And whenever it's a really, really big, ambitious game like Zelda U obviously is, they don't just suddenly have 200 extra staff to throw at that project. They just know we have our 100 or however big the Zelda team is. I'm assuming it's around 100 people, and that's what they do, and it just takes them forever. Now, obviously, I am strong in the field that it didn't need to be a 2017 game. Clearly, this blowout, if it is as extravagant as I believe it is, which is why I'm so hyped, that means the game's ready. It's almost ready to go gold and release this year. But it's being delayed for a different platform. And again, another understanding that Nintendo needs that platform to sell well. And as a consumer, I shouldn't give two hoots about the NX selling well. I should just care about getting my game and getting it now. So I'm on a really weird point where, like, I understand why people are upset or frustrated or let down. But man, every Zelda game that I've ever had to wait for was totally worth it to me. Skyward Sword was 5 years. Worth it to me.
And no one likes that.
And I know that's a very controversial opinion.
It was not bad. What is this?
And a lot of the delay for Skyward Sword actually had to do with technical limitations. When it started development, it did not have the Wii Motion Plus wasn't a thing. So like they were trying to make it work with the normal controls, and it wasn't responsive. And Agent Noah didn't have any idea what to do about it. Why they didn't switch gears then to just do another Twilight Princess style control scheme, I have no idea. But I'm glad they didn't, because at least for me, for one game, I got exactly what I wanted out of a Zelda game for combat. So they gave me one. Thank you, Nintendo.
So
you'll never give it to me again, but you gave me one.
Going off of what you said about the team size, I went up and looked up I remember reading something from Nintendo Everything a long
EAD
time.
Group 3?
No. It's a Nintendo Everything article from a long time ago.
Yep.
Yeah. And it talks about like the sizes of the teams, and none of them are above 200 members. And the longest one that took to develop was Skyward Sword.
Yes.
And it had the largest team by far.
And it was their biggest budget game they ever made.
Yeah, and it was still under 200 people. So that kind of puts it in perspective for me. It's like, okay, well, I was thinking about games like, The Witcher, Wild Hunt, and having like 1,500 people on staff to make a game that big and that, grand with that huge of a budget. But then but Nintendo only has this many people, so I can only imagine how many less they have.
And a lot of people tell me, like I've had The Witcher brought up, I've had like Grand Theft Auto brought up, and even though it's really weird to bring Grand Theft Auto since the gap between 4 and 5 was actually really big. But again, that's a single studio. They also made like Red Dead Redemption and other games in between. So they probably weren't actually working on GTA 5 that whole time. But it's crazy because those companies, they're using massive teams to get these games done in 2 to 3 years, and then they cut like 80% of the staff until they have another big project and they start job hunting for more people again. Because that's what Western developers do. They hire a whole bunch of people over the course of a game to get that game done on time. And then they let them all go. And Nintendo is a company that has very low turnover rate because you have a job. Like when you apply to Nintendo, it's not just to help out with this game. You're not a contract employee. You are, a salary employee. You are there to work. You're getting paid whether or not you're actually making a game. So Nintendo's total, I forgot, I looked it up a while ago. Their total staff is not very big. Just overall, and that's not even just breaking it down into people who actually make games. Their staff is not very big between everything for the amount of money that company has. And some could say that maybe that's a mismanagement of money, but then again, Nintendo is the company that everyone's been saying is going to die, yet they have enough money in the bank to last for 50 years, losing money every year. It's crazy. Like, they know what they're doing with money. The problem is that Nintendo doesn't have a way to scale up their teams big enough to take an open world game like Zelda U and get it done in 3 years. And I keep bringing up that 3-year remark because Eiji Ono himself infamously said, I say infamously, most people don't even remember he said this, after Skyward Sword released, there was an interview, I forget where it was from, but he said something like he would like to get a console Zelda game out every 3 years. That was his goal. So, like, 2014 reveal, people figured, it might not be 3, it'll be 4 years in 2015, and that didn't happen, and now we're at 5.5 or whatever. I thought that was an absolutely ridiculous statement, unless Nintendo was planning to do a massive hiring spree and get that team up to 400 to 500 people and have them work around the clock on new games all the time, which they definitely can do. but they don't want to. And I think part of that is because when you talk about things like The Witcher, you talk about even like a Skyrim or GTA, these are games that are selling like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 15 million copies. Zelda has never sold over 10. Zelda's never sold over 8 on an individual platform. Like, Zelda is not as popular as those games. Just throwing it's just not. So it can't justify having those big teams, which lead to $200 million budgets for a game that might only sell 2 to 3 million copies. They can't justify it. So that's why, to me, I have all this knowledge. Like, I know this stuff. I've been following Nintendo forever, reading all the news, reporting. Like, I know all this stuff. So, like, that's why I'm like, no game is worth 5 years. I'm like, this, like, if we want the best possible game out of the Zelda team, it's gonna take 5 years because they don't have the capability to do that. To do it in less. They just can't. Now, some of it is Nintendo's own choices. They should have had, like if you think Majora's Mask, people love that game. It's a quick turnaround game, but it reused assets. Triforce Heroes, quick turnaround game, but it reused assets. Nintendo's, for some reason, doesn't like doing that very often. I don't know why. That's just always been kind of their thing with the Zelda team. They don't like to reuse their assets for multiple games very often. But I don't know. I'm just so hyped, and I think Nintendo, because of how they operate, because of how I know how they operate, and I hate saying it because I'm a fan and I shouldn't care. I'm just a consumer, but man, I understand it. I get it. If I want the Zelda game that I like, my ultimate desire for a Zelda game, there's no way that Nintendo, as constructed, can pull it off in 3 years. So
do you know how
my
many...
hope is that Zelda U is what I want, and then if it is, then it was worth it to me.
Do you know how many team members are on work for in Monolith Soft?
Not very many.
Because their turnaround for Xenoblade Chronicles X was about 3 years.
Yeah,
3 or 4 years, give or take. And that game
I think it was 4.
That game is massive, and it's
Yes.
You know, there's some faults to it, like the characters' mouths really don't move with the words.
That was
Yeah,
the
but that
worst
game is
thing.
still massive and
No.
amazing.
Oh,
And,
it's
like, there's
huge.
no like when a car drives through the town, you can just stand there and drives through you.
But like, still, it's like, aside from those smaller things, the game's massive. There's always something to do,
Yes.
and so to me, kind of like, I understand to a point where a small team could be a hindrance, but then I look at something like that and see how that was done, and ported over to Wii, or like just made for Wii U, and it kind of makes me wonder. Like, here's the
What
thing
they're
that
doing.
Well, the thing that I've wondered about is how much of the delay is because they were working on the game, and how much of the delay is because they wanted to make it NX ready. Like,
I look at it. There's two aspects to, like, you bring up the Xenoblade Chronicles, and again, this is something you can criticize about Zelda's team. Is Xenoblade Chronicles X is the exact same art style as Xenoblade Chronicles. It might even be the exact same engine, for all we know. Just used in different ways, HD textures and all that stuff. So, like, there is the ability to reuse a lot of stuff game to game because you're using the same art style, you're using the same engine. You're just putting all that stuff into HD, essentially. So, at that point, they already have all the tools and everything built to just do this again and just change what they want to change. Like, they want to change the combat system or add the mechs and all that stuff. Like, they can do that within something they've already built. Zelda is very weird in that it is probably one of the only franchises I can even think of that changes art styles as often as it does. Almost every major console release is a completely different art style. Half the time it's on a completely brand new engine built from the ground up. It's so weird. I do not know why they do it. Like, they always start like, okay, we're starting with our old engine, and we're going to try some ideas. Oh, we don't like it? Let's build a whole entirely brand new engine and a brand new graphic style. To like, it's so... I think like the first 2 years of every Zelda game's development isn't actually spent working on the game. It's spent working on the art style and working on the engine. And then after that, they can finally build out the game.
They've got to start running out of art
And-
styles soon.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. Absolutely crazy what they're doing.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if they reused the same
But
engine
that's
for
just
another
what they've
game.
done. They've been doing it. like since Eiji Aonuma took over, this is just what they do. They change the art style nonstop. They changed the engine nonstop, and this is their first true from the ground up HD Zelda game, and they started it literally from the ground up. New engine, new visuals, new everything. There's nothing carried over, so it's just that's why it took so long. I mean, this extra delay is clearly NX, but I think even like last year's delay, 2014, they were being way too ambitious. Like, we finally got this done and we could build stuff, and then 2015 came around, like, man, we have too many ideas. There's no way we can launch a coherent game this year. So this latest delay, as I said, I think is entirely NX. Be upset about that if you want. I'm almost shilling for the company that it's good for them to delay it because
Yeah.
But I also think that the Zelda U will sell more copies because of this delay than it would if it wasn't delayed. But
It'll be fine.
Anyways, we just spent a majority of our half hour talking about that. Let's try to slip in the last two topics here. We're gonna kind of rush through this one. This is another Zelda U one. Just quickly, I'll go one by one around the proverbial internet room, and I will ask, what are your hopes and dreams for Zelda U at E3? As in, what do you want to know, and what are you hoping the game does? So we'll start with Rabidluigi, our guest.
I would say...
what do you want to know? What do you want to see?
I'd like to know a name, which I think is not too much to ask. I imagine a lot of people want to know a name. They could just name it The Legend of Zelda as like a reboot kind of name to be really annoying, which I don't want them to do that. Because they did Smash Bros. At the end of 2014, which was just Super Smash Bros. For 3DS and Wii U, which is such a cop-out and such a... Not disappointing because the games are fantastic, but it just... Oh, you could do so much more with that. So a name would be nice. I'm kind of hoping, and this is like the wildest fantasies, so if I had to write a wish list, this would be top in bold and coloured crayons. It would be a Dark Link fight for the E3 showroom. Like, kind of... Some kind of crazy AI learny thing, which They must have done something in 2 years. I know they've done engines and art styles and ideas and rethinking the conventions of Zelda, but I like the idea, because in Ocarina of Time, they had the Dark Link fight, which is some of the best AI you're ever going to see in a video game. I want to see a 2016 version of that. I want to see, like, really smart AI. Is that too much to ask? I don't think it is. That's what I want. We're not going to get it. I'm just hoping that we do.
There's the hype. There's a great hope in you still.
I've woken up.
Darrin, what are you hoping to see? What do you want to know about Zelda U?
First of all, a name, obviously. I really want to know what the name is, and I'm guessing it's going to involve the Sheikah, I hope. I also want to see a story trailer. I know it's probably just going to be a trailer showing off new mechanics, but I really want to know a basic plot line. I really hope they have a really good story, because the story is something everyone has always criticized in Zelda, it feels to me, and I really hope my expectations are met as far as story. That's basically what I want.
You're up, bud. Okay. First off, sorry for coughing and sneezing throughout the whole thing. I've got a bit of a cold. But I'm kind of agree with Darrin. For me, my dream for this reveal would be to get a cinematic trailer. Not like a trailer just, with grand music in the background, but showing actual cutscenes that kind of lend a story. Because that's something I don't think we've really seen from a Zelda game. Like an actual cinematic type thing. Like Skyward Sword was the closest we got to cinematics. Like actual, I don't know how to put it. It was very fluid, very cinematic. And I'd love to see something like that, because it would also lend that itself to the fact that there's going to be more story, hopefully. But my wildest hope and dream would be to see, I know that I'm probably a minority in this, is to see side quests, to see the option to have side quests in the game, akin to Majora's Mask, maybe not as fleshed out, but something that in the world, the living world with side quests.
Nice.
I missed those.
I guess I'm last but not least. I obviously want to see a title. I think that's a given.
That's what everybody wants.
A title, be very disappointed. I'm tired of calling it Zelda U, Zelda NX, The Legend of Zelda for Wii U and NX. I'm tired of it. Unless that happens to be the name, then I'm just disappointed that that's what the name is. But at least then I know. But and I want to see voice acting.
I knew that was going to come up.
Outside of that,
That's the end of the
voice
podcast,
acting,
guys.
outside of the title, yeah, and no one's gonna listen now. I do not. I do not. I just want to be surprised. I don't like. I have a whole bunch of ideas for like what would make the ideal Zelda for me. But to be honest, the Zelda games I enjoy the most are the ones that surprise me the most.
Plot twist: you play as Ganondorf.
Hey, that would be a surprise.
That'd be pretty good, actually.
Just something surprising that makes me smile in delight, rather smile out of sarcasm for oh man they really screwed this up. So you want one of the happy. I want them to just surprise me in a way that gives me a happy smile. Outside of that, voice acting and title, and I'm good. I'll survive if they don't give me the voice acting. It's not like it'd be all and all for me, but I want it. I just want it that bad. All right, we're not going to go over the little piece of news that I said was our third topic. We'll just save that for next week's podcast because we're already a little bit over time. But we get to my favorite part of this podcast, the part that I have been anticipating since I brainstormed this idea like a month ago when I found out that I was going to be running a brand new podcast as Zelda Informer. It's time for the E3 bets session.
Oh boy.
Oh, baby. Oh,
Dang.
This is awesome. All right. So, before we get into anything else about E3, as I said, we have a bonus bit at the end talking about the rest of E3. Alfred and myself have had to come up with 5 to 6, I think 6 now,
Yeah, you said 6.
yes or no type of questions to ask our guests. All these questions are about E3, obviously. Here is how the betting special is going to work, so you viewers and listeners, listen up. There will be 12 bets taken down, 6 each from Alfred and Nate. When one of us asks a guest one of the questions, the answer to that question, if it turns out to be correct at E3, will garner the person who asked the question 1 point. As an example, if I ask Darrin if the sky is going to be blue during E3 and he says yes and the sky is blue, that would be a point for me. If he says yes and it's not blue, it would be a point for Alfred. Just as an example, that's not one of the questions.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so either way, no
Exciting.
matter what, someone gets a point for that answer. And what's interesting about this is we'll get to choose which person we want to ask these questions to. So the questions are obviously going to be asked to people that we are hoping will give us the answer that we think is correct. Because we're not answering these ourselves. Yeah. So there's going to be a total of 12 points up for grabs. If something crazy happens and we happen to have a tie, we'll settle that tie on the first podcast following E3. So not the podcast we're going to have during E3 because the bets after show, as I'll call it, will be the following week's podcast. So 2 weeks from now. And then all of these bets are obviously associated with things that we do not know about E3. Things that not even rumored about necessarily. It might be rumored, I guess. But just things that aren't surefire bets that are going to be there, not heavily hinted are going to appear. Yeah. So, what makes this exciting, of course, is whoever wins gets massive bragging rights. That's always great. I want bragging rights.
Don't we all?
So this betting special is just between me and Alfred, the host of this podcast. And if I win, oh baby, and I'm going to win. Alfred, here's what you're going to do. And for our listeners, he has no idea, and I have no idea, what the stakes are for this bet. Okay? So my stake to Alfred, if he loses, he has to record a video of himself dressed as much as he possibly can as Tingle, saying Kula Limpa as someone splashes his face with cherry Kool-Aid.
Oh my goodness.
Well, that's an incentive.
okay.
That's right. So I'm going to win easily and you guys all want me to win, right? Because you want to see Alfred dressed as Tingle and Kool-Aid thrown in his face, saying the infamous line. I mean, come on. I automatically have everyone in my corner now.
Unless Alfred comes up with something better.
What's your stake against me?
See, it's funny that you mentioned Tingle, because
Great.
my
I think
thought
every idea I had is based around Tingle.
my thought was to have you do the next Boss Man episode dressed as Tingle and calling everyone your pretty little fairies.
Oh, it's
And then
flipping a
ending
coin.
it with Koolimpa.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, so is that the stake we're going with?
Yeah.
That's okay. So a Bossman episode where I have to dress as Tingle, call everyone what again? You're gonna have to remind me. I'm totally forget.
You basically act like Tingle. Like, everybody's your fairy. You're a 30-year-old fairy.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
You believe you're
I
a
finally
fairy.
get to.
How is that different than any other Boss Man
reenact
episode?
my hero.
Does that every day. Don't know what you're talking about.
Say, have you watched the Boss Man? I kind of emulate my hero Tingle. Oh, that's okay. I have a second idea that maybe I'll use it as a raise the stakes moment if we tie.
Okay.
Because the second idea is even better. All right. I'm glad that I went with the first one. I wasn't sure how much I should torture you yet. This is our first ever betting special at Zelda Informers. So, yeah, needless to say, it's only going to get worse from here, folks.
It's exciting, though. God, it's
Since I
exciting.
got to say my stake for this bet first, which is clearly I'm going to win, so Alfred better be ready. You can ask the first question, Alfred, to either of our guests.
All the confidence.
And hold on, before you do that. Oh, I'm very confident. I'd let him ask all 6 rapid fire, but no. I gotta get out my little pad here, make sure I write down what the answers were. Okay, Alfred, go ahead and ask your first question.
Okay, so this is for Rabidluigi.
Yep.
Okay. So Nintendo always says something akin to this phrase, and I think that they will say it again this year. Says Nintendo will say it something along the lines of, "Look forward for more exciting content in months to come."
So where's the question in that?
Do you think that they'll say that?
I do think they will say that, yes.
Okay.
Oh,
no.
oh, Alfred. I should have added a caveat rule that I was thinking of at the time, but I never put it in here beforehand. It should be that we cannot influence the answers.
Okay.
But it's okay. It's okay. Because if we're influencing the answers, then we might as well not even ask other people. But that's okay. We'll still count that. That was not a rule up until that question. Oh boy. Which one do I want to answer first? No, I need a surefire win here.
It's tense.
This is very tense.
That's some big stakes.
All right, this is for you, Rabidluigi.
Oh wow.
God.
Okay.
Going back to
Skip
the
over me, man.
Rabidluigi well.
Putting all the pressure
Going
on
back
me.
to the Rabidluigi well. Yes, I am putting a lot of pressure on you. Will Nintendo unveil a new game during their live stream that has been previously unannounced?
During their live stream? Ooh, that's a good question. I'm going to say no. Because I'm feeling interesting. You know,
Solid pick.
During a
It's
live
solid
stream?
pick right there.
probably not.
Okay. All right.
All right.
I was very specific about that. All right, Alfred, it's your turn.
Okay, Darren.
Yes.
Nintendo will announce the date of their next Nintendo Direct. Do you think that they'll do that? Sorry, I didn't write these as questions.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Man, you got the kitty gloves on.
Oh,
Oh. The kitty gloves on, man.
no, I'm asking my
answers are
easy
so
questions
obvious.
first.
Oh, man. All
just got
right.
my two
I need
away.
another surefire win here.
There's a lot of smack talk in this. It's
Oh.
incredible.
Oh, I am not dressing
just
as
you
Tingle.
wait.
This is not happening. I'm winning. All right. Darren,
Yes.
will Nintendo say open world during their live stream over or under 15 times?
Ooh, that's a good twist.
I think they will say under 15 times.
Okay.
Okay.
This one, I have no idea. I know they're going to say it. I just
Under. Definitely under.
don't know how many. they might just like that's all we've heard about this game. Is
How much do they want to
open
push it?
world, so.
Surely they've got other things to talk about.
I know, I'm not very confident in Darren's answer to that. All right, Alfred, it's your turn.
Okay. This has mine kind of has 3 answers to it. 3 possible answers. Okay.
So
No. Just listen to the question.
That's fine.
maybe.
Hey, you want a 33% chance? That's fine with me. All right.
Okay. Rabidluigi.
Yep.
Will Square Enix show off Final Fantasy VII, the remake, or will Sony, or will both of them show it off?
I see why you made that a 3-part question. I'm going to say both of them will.
Oh,
Okay.
that's such a give me. It's another easy one.
So you say that,
Gonna do it.
but I had a reason for asking that question that you won't let me talk about.
Oh boy. Oh, all right.
Because you just don't want me to win. That's it.
Oh, of course I don't want you to win. All right. I am gonna ask this one of. You know what? No. I'm not even gonna. I'm gonna do it. I'm going bold here. This is very bold. This is for Rabidluigi.
Hold on to
This
something.
probably should be a Darren question, but this is totally. I'm going Rabidluigi because I feel a little evil asking Darren this one.
Oh boy.
All right. Will there be over or under 250 posts made at Zelda Informer, not counting any content posted by our live at 3 crew from Tuesday through the end of day Thursday during E3?
Was it over 250, did you say? Over or under?
Over or under 250?
Oh, that's interesting. I'm going to say...
I can't ask Darren this. He knows. Darren, it would feel like cheating if I asked Darren.
What if it's exactly 250?
Then no one gets a point.
I'm going to say under.
Actually, no. Sorry,
One
it
of
would
them.
automatically go to Alfred
Oh, okay.
because you'd be wrong.
You'd be neither. I'm still going to say under.
You're going to say what?
I'm going to say under.
Oh, that's not the answer I want. All right.
Oh, well.
Oh boy, I'm anticipating like 500 this year. I don't know. I'm not here. Maybe there'll be less. Beats me. All right, Alfred, it's your turn, bud.
Okay, Darren,
Yo.
do you think the reception for Zelda Wii U will be positive or negative?
Positive.
Oh my god.
How can it be negative? How bad
See, you
does it
say
have to
that,
be for it to
but-
be negative?
Another delay.
Oh my gosh. Wait. Okay, I have to ask on this one. All right, what metrics are we using to determine if it's positive or negative?
Like, overwhelmingly positive. Like, I guess if you're scouring the internet and you see, like, IGN talking about it, GameSpot talking about it, look at, like...
over media. You
Yeah,
mean?
over media. Like, even
media.
seeing,
I
like...
can be the judge of this by looking at the comments section of our posts. Like, I can tell.
Yeah, but no, he's not. He's saying media coverage.
Okay.
He's not
Yeah,
talking about.
like overall coverage for Zelda U.
I just need
will
to
be
know,
positive
like,
or
when I'm
negative.
looking back, trying to figure out who did what. Like, I just need to make sure that I know what I'm looking for that. Okay.
You'd be able
He's
to
just
tell.
looking for loopholes so that he doesn't have to
Again,
win,
we're
or
4
doesn't have to
questions
lose.
deep, and you have 4 very obvious answers. I just... No
You didn't give me a
creativity.
metric.
It upsets me. There's no creativity. Fine. Here's a creative one. This one's for Darren.
Oh, yay.
All right. Will Aisha Tyler, you know who she is, right?
Treehouse, right?
I can't tell you who she is.
The Ubisoft woman.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Will Aisha Tyler, at any point during the Ubisoft press conference, go take a seat in the crowd?
First of all, it's Ubisoft.
What?
Second of all,
American.
yes, she will.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think that's a surefire win right there. That one's probably my surest bet so far. Well, she's done it twice out of the 4 times she's done it, I think. So, okay.
You
I
want?
know.
You
I
want
can give you that nugget now. You already answered.
You want a
Alfred.
surefire one now?
Oh my god, no.
Will
All of
Zelda
yours are-
Wii U be at E3? Yes or
Don't
no?
worry, if I lose, if I get slaughtered like 6-0, 12-0, guys, next betting special, it's on. It's going down. I'm gonna ask the dumbest questions that have the most obvious answers.
Hey, I asked if I
Anyways.
could have stupid questions, so here's a really
I
stupid
did.
question for Darren.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Okay, I'm trying to say this with a straight face.
Oh no.
Do you think Half-Life 3 will be announced as an NX exclusive?
Oh my gosh.
As an NX
No
exclusive.
creativity.
Wait,
That's
okay.
creative.
Repeat the question.
Do you think Half-Life 3 will be announced as an NX exclusive?
No, I do not.
Imagine if it did. Oh, the internet would crack in two.
That would be amazing.
Fans, if I lose, I want you to remember this question. And think about, is this the kind of betting special you want? This betting special can change in the future. Not this time, but in the future. If you guys want it to be better. Just think about that question. Half-Life 3 even being announced, let alone NX. When the NX isn't even going to be talked about. In fact, shouldn't that be disqualified?
Hey,
we
you
already
said-
factually know
you
NX
said things
will not...
things we
Yeah,
don't know,
but it has to be
things we can't know.
Yes, but we know NX... We know that NX is not going to be at E3.
Nintendo goes
But
back.
they
on their
might
word
announce
all
a
the time.
game for it. Like Gabe Newell could just walk out and be like, Half-Life 3 for NX, and then walk off the stage.
Who would do that without the NX ever being unveiled?
Nintendo, because they're Nintendo.
But Nintendo wouldn't. It'd have to come from Valve.
Okay,
Exactly.
so Valve and Nintendo do it at
I
the
mean,
same time.
Half-Life 3 being exclusive to anything is already a stupid question. But a console that's not even at E3, that's just...
No, Miyamoto just comes
I don't know.
out
You know what? I'll allow it. I'll allow you to have your free win on that one. Fans, let me know if I should allow that one, because that seems like a low blow. We already know NX is
I
not
hope
gonna be
I'm
E3.
right, and that it will be. Like, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah,
and that-
you can hope all you want. I mean, this is the podcast, the E3 Hype Podcast. It's for hopes and dreams. But, man.
That is the wildest
guys,
bit of
you need to help
hopes
me
and
come up
dream
with some
I've heard in a
stricter
long
rules.
time.
Fans, please help me come up with stricter rules for future betting sessions. I can already tell. I might as well just go start making a homemade Tingo costume right now.
It'll look good, don't worry.
But you know what? That's okay. You know what? I do have 2 questions left. I think these are going to be a couple wins in my court. And I figure if Alfred just get a couple of his wrong, I might just have this. Even though I asked the harder questions. I think I got this. So, this one, I'm going to ask Rabidluigi.
Yup.
Because something just tells me that he pays more attention to this company than Darrin
Wow,
does.
okay.
Could do.
I'm probably wrong. But it's just a feeling. This is what happens when you don't really know a person. Yeah, I just have a sense about this.
Take a
question.
wild guess. The instinct.
Will Sony announce a PlayStation Slim edition at E3? And it doesn't have to be called PlayStation Slim, just like a smaller version of their current.
A smaller, light version of the PlayStation.
Yes.
Oh, that's a good question. I'm gonna say yes.
Ooh. I would've said
Interesting.
no.
That's a good question. That is how you play
I'm
this
personally
game.
torn on that one.
That is a good question.
I'm personally torn on that one.
I would have said no.
Because like there's like these rumors of like Xbox out there, like doing that, and I just don't know. I mean, Sony might just have the PS4K and just be done with it, but I don't know. They have a history of it.
Does it specifically have to be a
If you pay
slimmer,
attention, they have a history
lighter
of it.
version, or can it just be a different version of the
Yeah,
PS4?
it's just a smaller version of the current PlayStation 4
All right.
in some way. All right. I think this is this is our final question for the bets right now.
Okay.
Alfred.
This one,
Fire away.
I've been like thinking about it for a while, ever since this was kind of announced. I was gonna ask. I'm gonna reword it because Nate's crying about easy questions and stuff. So, I'll give this one to Rabidluigi. Will Sony's project with Kojima's Productions be a spiritual successor to Metal Gear, or will it be something completely new?
I'm thinking it'd be something completely new with sort of nods back to Metal Gear. So I've the spiritual successor one, but also a bit of the first one. Mainly the spiritual successor answer.
Oh, this is a one or the other.
Yeah. Second one. It'll be a spiritual.
Okay, so something completely new.
Yes, that's what I'm. Well,
New.
something completely new. I forget which one was second or first, but something completely new, basically.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah,
I would've
that
said
one.
Got
that
that down.
too.
Got that.
Yeah.
Do we know if that game even being shown off?
That was one of my questions. Was like, do we think that they'll show it off at E3 because they've talked about it a lot and they keep revealing logos
they
after
will
logo.
show it off.
Yeah. Okay. No. That's cool. I like that question. That's actually a difficult one. I like how you phrased it. Finally, a legit question.
Hey, Half-Life 3,
Something
man.
that like isn't just super obvious.
We got there in the
going
end.
to happen. All right.
Will Zelda Wii U be published by Nintendo?
I have all these interesting ones. Like now,
Find out next week.
Now, should I give this last one to Rabidluigi or Darrin?
Me,
Who?
because he got the last two.
You know, Darrin, you were talking about getting an Xbox One.
Yes, I was.
I have one.
So you'll probably be paying a lot of attention to Microsoft's press conference.
I actually have been paying a lot of attention to both Microsoft and Sony.
Oh, you shouldn't have gave me that information. Well, now you're an easy pick for this last question.
Now that jeopardizes the operation.
I know. Well, you know what? I need a win here. Okay. And even then, this is still an impossible question. Will there be over or under 6 brand new game reveals between Sony and Microsoft's press conferences, not counting indie titles?
Oh, not counting indie.
Wow.
That changes it.
Oh.
Oh god.
Yeah. I was going to say over, but then the
Because
indie
indie, they can do like a sizzle reel and have like 50 games in that sizzle reel. So I'm like, I don't want that 50 game sizzle reel, man. I want, B tier, A tier, AAA tier games.
Oh, I'm going to
Don't have to be
say
exclusive, by the way. It's just new game reveals.
I'm going to say over.
Oh, I should have went Rabidluigi.
I was going to say over as well.
Would you have said under? Okay.
He was going to say over too.
I was.
How? Oh, most of Sony's press conference, we already know what's going to be in it.
See,
It's like the same conference from last year with more stuff.
I just really want to see you in a tingle suit.
And hardware. Hardware talk. You want what? Do I ask him to repeat that?
Not
he
to
said he
undermine
wants
the
to see you in a
operation.
tingle suit.
Not to undermine this operation at all, but it'll be
He
a good
wants to
sight,
see you
I
in a
think.
tingle suit.
Really? Have you seen videos of me, man? You want to see me in any sort of tight clothing?
Seen a lot worse.
This is just not good.
Do you want me to ask a substitute question, Nathan? Would that make you feel
A
better?
what?
A question to
what?
substitute for my Half-Life 3 one.
Yeah. You know what? Which was that question 5 for you or Half-Life 1?
Yeah.
Here's what we'll do for that question, because I honestly, like, I'm not even trying to be mean about it. I just don't know if that question should count. I'm gonna let our fans decide. So, like, when you guys listen to this podcast, in the comments, let us know if his Half-Life 3 question exclusive to NX should count. If the overwhelming majority say no, then we'll substitute this one.
I have an idea. How about if it's right and Half-Life 3 somehow
He
is an
automatically
NX
wins.
exclusive?
He automatically
He
wins.
gets a point. But
I'll say that right now. He wins automatically.
okay,
There is no
he'll get a
question.
point. But if it doesn't happen, then no one gets a point.
Well, how's that fair to me?
It's not. I
The
just
whole
want to
point is
see
if
you in
it
a tingle
doesn't
suit.
happen. No, I know you did. No.
the
All right, what's your
overriding-
substitute question? We'll let the fans decide on that.
Okay, Rabidluigi, but you have a job now. You have to make sure that everybody says that question counts, so that we can see him in a tingle suit.
No
I'm not
pressure on
gonna
this
poll.
question. No
I'm
pressure at
going to
all.
have to put up a poll for it to make sure we get the count right. All right.
Okay. Do you think? Okay, this is for. I guess I'll aim this last one towards Rabidluigi again.
Yep.
Do you think that Nintendo's going to talk more about? I know that this isn't a press conference, but do you think they're going to mention the newer roles for like Miyamoto and Reggie? Like, do you think they'll mention that at all?
I'm gonna say no. Not in the press conference. Not at E3.
Okay.
No tension on that at all, because everyone will say that the Half-Life 3 question counts. So
No, the reason that that's a safe one in my mind is that Reggie didn't give up his current titles at Nintendo to get the new title he has. So he's still going to be introduced. Like, the only hope is that when he gets introduced, that they would say that they would use his new title instead of saying president.
What is his new title anyway?
He's on some special board now at like the top tier.
Yeah,
Well,
but
if
is
they
he like
say-
something fellow?
No, that
Fine
was the
fellow.
old. That fellow was after Mr. Iwata sadly passed. They started using fellows to describe things. No, they're restructuring everything. The reason why I think this is a safe win, and I'm gonna allow this question because it's so much less ridiculous than the original, is that all these positions are completely unconfirmed. These changes have not happened yet. They happen on June 29th. They haven't been voted on by the shareholders yet. So no one actually has these titles yet.
But see, that was something that I
but they
didn't
know
know
who they want
as an
to have
audience
them.
member.
Yeah, but like they want to have them. So, they could use that as a media opportunity.
This I will get this if you said no, right? If it's yes,
Yep.
and I'll give this to you if while he's on screen they have that little bar under his name. It says Reggie Fils-Aimé, President of Nintendo of America / that, then it goes to you. That's
No. You don't give me no. If that's a mention. That is an on-screen mention of the position. So
yeah, no, I know you get that point.
no. Oh yeah, I would. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
would.
what I was
Why do
saying.
you got to give that to me?
I said no.
I was saying
You don't gotta give me that. That happened at E3, baby. I'd get that either way.
yeah, I know
Be
that's
nice
it
to
counts towards you.
Shh. Yeah, it ain't gonna happen though. So, oh my gosh, I just got slaughtered. I better hope that all of my way out there weird questions, I just nail every single one. That's my only hope. I'm praying for a tie, baby. I'm praying for a tie because, folks, if there is a tie, we get to up the stakes even more. So we get to do what we originally said in addition to something more.
You both wear
And
tingle suits.
I know Alfred has more.
Yep.
I have more.
We need to
And
set
yes, it involves a tingle suit.
parameters for the questions after that then. Because I asked you
Yeah, well, you know what? We'll let our fans help us out with that. Maybe
I asked you like what kind of questions do you want? You're like, oh, just pick some yes or no questions.
Well, 'cause I didn't know. This is our first ever betting special. I thought you were gonna come at me hard, and you're like, nope. Here's the easiest questions I could think of. All right, that's okay, everybody. That is our E3 betting special. We're just gonna lock all that in right now, and all right, it's locked. Moving on.
T-shirts that say Half-Life 3 for NX.
Oh my
Get them at
gosh,
Zelda.
that is not part of the bet. We already locked in that those bets were good. So we're going to move on to our next segment. Yes, the fan topics are back because we got a lot of submissions this week that deal with E3. First one comes from Daniel Cunningham from our Facebook page. It says, do you think we'll finally learn the subtitle for Zelda U? If so, what do you think it will be?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Something about the Sheikah.
All of us hope that we're going to say it, so I think most of us assume we're going to learn the subtitle to answer that part of the question.
Yeah.
Give me a title. What would your ideal title for this game be, Darren?
Ocarina of Time HD.
Hang 'em,
I'm joking.
please.
I'm joking.
Where are my Zelda Informer ninjas?
Oh man.
Wow. Well, Alfred, give me something better than that.
See, okay, so we talked. Well, I remember a long time ago, there was a teaser, like a fake teaser. It was Legend of Zelda: Valley of the Flood.
Yes. Way
And
back
so-
in the day.
I'd like to. This is just purely like in my life. What I'd like to see is what happened between, like Skyward Sword, and whatever comes after that. Don't remember the timeline, but I'd also like to see what happens after.
I don't remember the timeline.
I don't. Like to see what happens after Phantom Hourglass and before Spirit Tracks. So I'd like to see it like
Okay.
Legend of
The
Zelda.
founding of New Hyrule.
Like after the flood or something, like not like that, like lame, but something that kind of is reminiscent of that. Like I love Valley of the Flood. I thought that'd be a great like name for the game,
Okay.
but I doubt that we'll see something like that. But I think that'd be pretty cool.
Nice. Rabidluigi. What would your ideal title?
For the longest time, I actually remember reading a game magazine like 10 years ago. I think this was before we knew a thing about Twilight Princess, and it had a screenshot of sort of realistic-looking Link with like a rainy backdrop. I always thought the best thing we haven't really explored in Zelda yet is the events that lead up to Wind Waker. Basically, we need the flood, we need the rain, need lots of rain.
Yeah.
He needs some kind of
Lots of
rainy
flood.
title. Lots of flood, lots of
So
rain.
what title are you thinking?
I can't think of titles, but something like the Great Flood or something to do with water and rain and lightning.
Link's Arc.
Yeah, it's really wet here. There you go. Legend of Zelda, it's really
wet here.
Obviously, the prevailing thought process is to go with something Sheikah related, since they are featuring that emblem so prominently right now. It's hard for me to believe that they're going to actually theme a game around Sheikah. They've been so mysterious about them for so long. I don't even think they know what the Sheikah are, to be honest.
What if Link was one of the Sheikah in this game?
Well, that's one of the theories, that he's a
Yeah.
Gerudo and a Sheikah and all this stuff.
An honest title I'd like to
I'm
see
gonna
is
say-
Rise of the Sheikah. That sounds pretty cool to me.
I'm going to go with an old idea mentioned earlier. Just call it The Legend of Zelda.
No.
No, that's
Please,
worse.
no.
That's worse than my one.
Make
No.
this title the proverbial reboot of the series.
It doesn't need a reboot.
Reboot
it just
the
needs
timeline.
a new thing.
Fresh. No. Get rid of the timeline. Eliminate the timeline. It's gone. It's gone.
We waited
Name
so
the
long.
future past it.
Convoluted,
We waited so long for that timeline.
three-tiered bullshit from Ocarina of Time. Erase everything. It never happened. Here's a brand new, separate timeline that veers off from everything else. Not even one that veers off like Skyward Sword. Like, literally, this is a reboot of the whole franchise, starting from scratch. And so this is the foundation game for everything, for what the Legend of Zelda is. Like the actual Legend of Zelda. What the Sheikah are, what the Gerudo are. It's the foundation of everything that we know about these games. Because it reboots the series and doesn't have to pay attention to all of the complicated crap we got from the other games.
And people think
That's
my
hope and
opinions
my
on
desire,
Zelda
my
are out
dream.
there.
I think it will be the Legend of Zelda, period.
You know,
Nothing else.
that kind of reminds me of what I was thinking about when we were talking about that, because I was like thinking, what if they remade the original Legend of Zelda, but in like a 3D world?
Mhm.
And because we have the Death Mountain over there, what if we had like the cemetery, the graveyard, all the different areas? Like, what if that's what this game was just a remade with like a story to it, like a remade version of Legend of Zelda NES for the NX/Wii U.
See, I don't even want a remake. Total reboot. Just total reboot. I don't know. That's just me. Thank you for your question, Daniel Cunningham. We're going to move on to the next question from Michael Hands, also from our Facebook page. It says, what kind of companion do you think Link will have this time? And will they have a significant plot point like Fi or Midna? I'll go first on this one. Only because I don't think there's going to be a companion at all.
I really hope so.
The end. But this is, what kind of companion do you think? I don't think there will be one, so that's my answer. Rabidluigi.
I wouldn't really say a companion, because a companion implies like a fairy or a spirit in the sword or something like that. I reckon there might be a very important NPC who follows you around a little bit and tells you how things work, but I can't really see, because you have someone like Midna who's quite liked in Zelda, but for every Midna there's like 2 Navis, and that's the problem. It's become this self-fulfilling prophecy where they think, oh, we're going to put a companion. It's going to be terrible, guys. I think they want to avoid that. So there could be someone who wanders around, maybe follows you, maybe comes on your adventures for a little bit at the beginning just to get you into the spirit of the game and to understand how everything works. But beyond that, I could see, especially with the scope of the world and how large it is and how you want this lone adventurer going through the world of Hyrule on his own, I could see him doing that on his own without a companion. So, yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, I thought you said me.
Yeah, you go ahead, Alfred.
Darrin needs his ears checked.
Oh, okay. Sorry, the mics are cutting in and out. I'd say no, like there's no companion also, but mostly because every time we've had a companion, it's been used to help progress the linearity of the game. Like they've popped up and said, hey, let's go to Death Mountain, or hey, let's go to Kokiri
Exactly.
Village or Forest. And so in this one, they're like, this is an open world. You go wherever you want, whenever you want. It's like, okay, well, now there's no purpose for a companion because nobody's going to be telling me where to go. And I think that's what they want to drive home with the open world is nobody's going to be telling you where to go. Do whatever you want within
Learn at your own
the
pace.
parameters of the game.
All right. Darren, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't want there to be a companion. Unfortunately, I think there will be. That's Aonuma really likes companions, I think, and it is going to be an open world, and there needs to be some sense of direction, maybe a companion that will give you hints. I really hope that's not the case. So my answer is I hope there isn't a companion, but I think there will be.
When I thought about companions, because I don't think there's going to be one, but I kept thinking about the past. Like, what has AJ and Noah done with 3D Zelda games for companions?
Really
And,
annoying.
you had Midna.
NPCs.
You had Midna. You had I'm not even going to count Tattle and all that stuff from Majora's Mask because that was just copying what Ocarina of Time did. But or Ocarina of Time, however you want to pronounce it.
Except
Ocarina.
Tattle had
But-
like character and stuff.
Oh, Karina.
Oh snap! So he had the boat that he rode. I kept thinking, like, if there's going to be a companion, two things we know about the game so far make sense to me to be the companion. One, finally, Epona is the companion, since we'll be riding Epona obviously quite a bit in this game, so it appears.
It's a Shadow of the Colossus
Or
thing.
the companion is something to do with that Sheikah tablet / book / whatever thing on his hip. Since that kind of mirrors when he carried around the rock or the stone, whatever it was called in the Wind Waker. The Pirate's Charm, I think it was what it was officially called.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So the companion was actually like somebody else, but they were speaking through that. So that's kind of what I think could happen. I don't think there's going to be a companion, to be honest.
And you meet them
But,
later and it's Zelda. There you go. Written half the
Yeah.
plot.
There we go. So yeah, sorry we didn't really have a lot of thoughts on that, because our thoughts mostly agree that there won't be one, or Darren just doesn't want there to be one, but does think there will be one. He gave you his thoughts on that. So thanks for that question. That's a very good question because obviously companions have played a huge role in the series over the years. This is kind of an off-the-cuff remark, not necessarily about Zelda. Well, okay, it's not about Zelda at all.
Oh,
Scott
boy.
Roberts. It's not, because these are topics, right? They don't have to be questions. It says, new Advance Wars. We're overdue for one of these. So my question, to frame this, is do you guys even want to see another Advance Wars? I mean, Darren's laughing. You go first. You're laughing.
Okay, I'm laughing because I have never heard of Advance Wars.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man. See, this... No, last week I said this is where Darren's youth comes out. This is the literal moment it comes out.
I do
He
not
did not know
understand
about
it
Advance
because
Wars.
I've heard of every obscure retro game under the sun, but I do not know
This
what that
isn't
is.
an obscure... This is DS era, man.
This is DS
era.
Advance
Game Boy
era.
Advance and DS
Advance
era.
Wars for the GBA is one of the best games on the GBA.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes! Okay, yes! I have played the GBA Advance Wars.
we go.
I thought it sucked.
Oh, there it is. And oh, great.
I remember that now, yes, but I thought it was awful. I could never get into it.
Oh, boy.
Oh, one
I
step
think we know
forward, about
Darren's
5
answer. No, he does not want to see. He doesn't want to see another one.
No, I would like to see a new one as long as it doesn't suck.
Oh my god. Oh, this is like someone coming out and being like, "Yeah, when I played that Super Metroid game? God, it was terrible. I want to see a Metroid game that's nothing like Metroid."
I want to see one
Thank
more
you."
like Metroid Other M. That's the kind of Metroid I want.
Metroid
It's like,
Prime
I want another
Federation
Advance.
Force.
Darren, I want another Advance Wars. Just have it be nothing like Advance Wars.
I know, but Nate likes Other M, so,
You like Other M?
A weird taste. My liking of Advance Wars isn't considered weird. Like, that's a pretty common.
It's not that weird.
Like, a lot of people who played the game liked it. So,
To answer the question,
so Darren was a little negative there. Alfred, what do you think about Advance Wars? Do you want to see another one?
I remember back in second and third grade when I stole my friend's copy of Advance Wars from his house, and I don't know where it went, but I stole it from him. And I love that game. I am a huge Intelligent Systems fan. Yeah, go steal it from your local GameStop, guys. Do it now, if they still have it. But I'd love to see another one. Aside from like the weird, aside from the new Paper Mario games, I love Intelligent Systems games. And Fire Emblems, it's kind of along the same vein in a way, same play style-ish, I guess.
Yeah, roughly.
But I'd love to see a new one. Yeah.
Simple.
So, Rabidluigi, you can give your thoughts here. I'm also going to be passing off the hosting for a second over to Alfred. I just sent you the next question in a message. That's from Twitter, by the way.
Okay.
So, yeah. Well, I'll get one little say on it quick before I step out to take care of my little baby. Yeah, I love Advance Wars. I have no idea why they haven't made another one. They need to. It needs to happen. And it needs to be on whatever the portable NX thing is, like a launch title. I will buy a day one if that happens. All right, Rabidluigi, what do you think?
Pretty conclusive. I'd say Advance Wars. I actually did a video sometime this year, which was game series that I'd like to see revived, and Advance Wars came second, only being beaten out by Crash Bandicoot, which should get something this E3. And effectively, Advance Wars is this like very effective template for like Fire Emblem gameplay, but with more modern stuff, with tanks and stuff. So Fire Emblem was in a bit of a rut, and then got a massive facelift with Awakening in 2011 or whatever. I can't remember when that game came out, but it got a big sort of boost, and people loved that game. And it was the relaunch of Fire Emblem. It's now another string in Nintendo's bow, a big name for Nintendo. I think Advance Wars might not be able to get to that height, but I think if you give it the same kind of facelift and really build it up from the ground up, give it some real personality to it, you can, bring it back to the everyday world. There's also Advance Wars is actually part of the Wars series, which includes Battalion Wars, and Battalion Wars was on the GameCube and was also really good. And I think they could also just have a new Battalion Wars game on the NX, and then an Advance Wars game on the portable whatever the hell they're doing with the portable NX thing, and release them at the same time maybe, or whatever they want to do with them. Just there's a lot of potential there, and they didn't make enough games to really say that, oh yeah, we've really, the well of ideas is completely barren and dry. We have nothing left to do. There's plenty more to do. They just got to think about it. So yeah, more of that please.
Yeah, I agree. I'd love to see more Advance Wars. I think everybody except for Darrin, who seems to hate all things good, would like to see more Advance Wars. Okay, so thank you for that question.
Everyone
next
will
one's
have an opinion.
Yeah. Everyone has an opinion, but Darrin's is just wrong. Okay, so next question is from Jaylee Shaunus, sorry, I butchered that last name, from Twitter. Says, I feel like the GB Zelda titles are underrated. What are your thoughts on that, since I've only really played the GB titles? So we'll start off with Darrin. Hopefully you can redeem yourself.
Yes, they are very underrated. I have played all of them. Link's Awakening, the Minish Cap, the Oracle series. They're all amazing games, and I don't think they get enough love. But they are on the Virtual Console, and they seem to do pretty well on there. So I don't think they are underrated as they were. I really love them. That's it. I really love them, especially the Minish Cap. That game is just amazing. That was the first game I downloaded when I got my Wii U. I didn't even get a $60 new release, AA release. I just got the Minish Cap on Virtual Console because I really wanted to play it.
Okay, Rabidluigi, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's interesting when they say that the Game Boy titles, the Game Boy Advance and the Color titles, and Link's Awakening on the original Game Boy, they are underrated. But I think the problem is the 3D games and the 2D games that came before that, before the Ocarina of Time, basically, and the DS type, basically any game which isn't the Game Boy Advance ones. they're so easy to praise. There's so many amazing things you can look at and think, oh, it's just such a good game, the story's amazing, the gameplay's amazing. You have to look a bit harder for the older 2D titles, but they are there. Link's Awakening is honestly a game I struggle to find flaws with. It's got flaws, but they don't really ruin anything in that game. It's a very good, solid game. The Oracle games are a bit different. There's no real... They're okay. They seem a little rushed. Then they're kind of... It's a good dynamic, because one's a puzzle game orientated, one's more like an action game orientated. That's a good dynamic. But it's kind of Capcom had a go at making a Zelda game. They're quite good, but they could be better. Which is where Minish Cap comes in, and Minish Cap just blows everything out the water and is just a ridiculous game, and everyone should play. I would say you play the 3D games, then you play Minish Cap, because Minish Cap is just about as good as you can get for 2D Zelda. And in terms of it being underrated, yes, they are underrated, but that's only because the 3D games are so highly rated. It's hard to really translate that onto a 2D game, since it is 2D and it's a little bit less pleasing on the eye in a way, even if, things like Minish Cap have got great graphics for what it is. But, I think at the end of the question, there was something about having only played the Game Boy titles or something. You should change that. I mean, they're fantastic games, but the 3D games are also quite good as well. So,
yeah, I agree that they're pretty underrated. I loved Link's Awakening.
Yeah, really good game.
Back when I played it the first time, it was pretty difficult. And I'm a big music fan, and the music in those games is something you don't hear a lot of anymore, especially in portable games. But something that I would say is underrated, and I don't know if you could classify this as a Game Boy title, because this was when Nintendo was experimenting with really weird control schemes, when they had Four Swords Adventures. And I think that's a really underrated game, because that's probably... I don't really talk about it, so I always forget about it, but it's one of my favorite Zelda games. And it's something that is kind of swept under the rug, because in order to really play that game, you had to have a Game Boy Advance cable and to fully enjoy it with friends. And but a lot of those Game Boy games and Game Boy Advance games where Nintendo took the Legend of Zelda formula and they tweaked it a bit. That's when they really decided, well, what else can we do to make this game different? And a lot of those have different storylines than the mainline Zelda games. And, they're not saying that they're better for it, but I think that they succeed in that aspect.
Interesting. That's very interesting. This is me nitpicking. I hate how you use the term mainline.
Okay, main console Zelda games. if you're
but so are the handhelds that are vastly more popular than their home consoles
discrimination
not mainline anymore?
No, they're never again.
Sorry,
dang,
it's so weird when I hear people be like mainline. To me, non-mainline games would be like Hyrule Warriors. Mainline is literally everything else that is on the timeline. But that's just me.
That's funny.
Man.
Pretend you exist
Sorry,
in a pre-timeline
totally going way off base, nitpicking on a really tiny, off-the-cuff remark you made. All right, we're going to have to cut short there. That is, according to my timer, that is just slightly over our 15-minute allotted time for fan topics. So thank you, everyone, for submitting it. Obviously, we have probably a ton more we could say about Game Boy Zelda titles. So we might be able to bring that topic up in the future when we are starting to lack a little bit on stuff, which... If E3 has anything to say, we won't be lacking for quite some time.
Not a chance.
There was a couple other fan things. We'll save those for maybe next week if we don't get any good submission. Thank you for joining us on the E3 hype edition of the podcast, or if you're listening to the end of the other version, the bonus talk version, the end of the bonus talk version. I was joined happily today by Darrin, Alfred, and Rabidluigi. You guys want to plug in your Twitter handles quick?
Who goes first?
Mine's just Rabidluigi, so that's easy. At Rabidluigi.
Yes. At Rabidluigi.
That's very easy.
At Realdern, RealDern. I talk about video games.
Yes.
And he retweets me.
Yes.
Yes. He retweets everyone.
And I'm at Full Metal Alfie. So
Nice.
like Full
I
Metal
still gotta
Alchemist,
follow you.
but
I don't know why I
Alfie.
haven't followed you yet. I'm at Nate Jantz, NateJanc. I always spell it out because everyone adds the E, and it doesn't exist. Yeah,
Yet.
that was our E3 Hype Edition. Follow us on Twitter. Next week's podcast is a little sneak peek. Is going to be not live from E3, but it's going to be 4 people in the same room representing Zelda Informer, all talking about our experience with Zelda U. That whole podcast is not going to... There won't be fan topics. It's just going to be us talking about our experience with the game. We might even be able, for the video version, to sneak in some footage of the game. That would be fantastic for you guys, wouldn't it? Plus, obviously, we'll have all of us on camera, so our YouTube version is going to be awesome. It's going to be what I wish our podcast really was, where all of us live together and can be all in the same room. But that's all right. The audio will probably suffer because of it, because we don't actually have a proper audio set up to do that. But we'll make it work. It'll happen. It's going to be fun. I will see you guys next week. This has been awesome. This is Zelda Informer Podcast, Episode 2. I'm signing out. Peace.